So, okay, I've already decided on my first lesson. Sorry for like the long wait. Instead of doing this in call, I feel like it'd be just more convenient if I just pre-record this one. This lesson is going to be on mastering. So this is usually at the end of the production cycle. I usually render out the non-mastered audio in waveform. I recommend 32-bit float so that it can exceed through the 0 dB scale. And in that case, you can actually normalize it to 0 dB so that you can adjust the loudness units to your liking. Like usually I master at about, let's say, -5 LUFS. So, yeah. So I already have this one EQ'd, which, you know, if you need to add some very minor changes when it comes to frequency balancing, you can EQ a couple parts, but if you need to completely reshift your entire EQ balance, like a lot, then I feel like you need to just adjust the mix itself, because you can't really fix in mastering that you have to fix during your mixing. So basically, just get a clean, good mix first before you master. Like this one, I only slightly EQ just like one part, and after you EQ, my first step is usually to compress it. So I have TDR Kotelnikov. I really recommend this mastering compressor. It's free, and you can just get it. There's a pro version that is also available, but you are just fine with the free version. And then you're gonna do a little bit of math. I know no one really likes math, but this is to keep a good release peak on your master, because it'll sync it to the BPM and it will cause less issues. So you have to do 60,000, then you divide that by your BPM, so 240, and then you put that in parentheses, and then you divide that by 4, which is the numerator of your time signature. So let's say if you have 7/4, you divide it by 7, but since it's 4/4, you divide it by 4. And that leaves us to 62.5, which it will just automatically round up to 62 anyways. And you can actually adjust the threshold of how much is compressed, and then you can adjust the ratio. Usually I keep a low softening, and then if you really want to like boost it up, you can give it a little bit of makeup, or you can give it an outgain, and if it sounds like pretty consistent to dynamic, which it does, you can just consolidate it. So then it's like a bit more compressed. So it'll be a bit quieter, which is fine. You make sure you just want to normalize the audio, just in case. And then you get to the actual mastering technique, which, like all the other mastering stuff, which I already pre-built in this this little file. Just ignore the compressor here. This was before I switched to just adding it before. And you have all of these settings. Here's a Maximus. It's set to a clear master RMS, and this is mainly just to boost the witness and the loudness of the audio so that it's like more full. You can add an EQ, but this one is this is optional. But sometimes I like to add a hard cut at below 20 Hertz, mainly to prevent any DC offset issues that could potentially happen. You can adjust it with your gain, just in case, to see how like loud you want it. And you add a form of clipper. I have Fruity Wave Shaper, which might sound weird, but this is basically just to clip it to -1 decibels. And then you can analyze the sound of it with span, and then check the loudness units with Ulean Loudness Meter 2. And we'll be checking the loudness of this with the loudness meter. And it says about -6, I could probably boost it a little bit. Like this seems kind of fine. This is about where I want it to be. So mastering isn't super hard. You just got to make sure that there's no clipping on any issues whenever you do finish your master. For example, okay, there is no low end clipping, because low end clipping is probably the harder thing to kind of manage whenever it comes to mastering loud, because it is incredibly noticeable. And I believe this master I can consider done, so I will render it out. Actually, I can just keep the mastered out of there. I'll just render it here. And after you render it, that's pretty much it. Mastering is, I usually go through it pretty fast because I already have everything pre-set up, but if you want to use any of the tools that I use for your mastering, or if you want to change it up, then feel free to do so. Just be careful about how much you compress. Make sure that everything still kind of feels full. Because the compressor I use is not to compress the sounds of it, it's to compress the loudness. It is for dynamic compression. Because with this kind of genre, I feel like dynamic compression is a bit more important. And then, whenever your master is done, it shall look something like this. Pretty sausagey, but you know, that's kind of normal. Hopefully this was useful. Alright, see ya.